Namaskar and welcome. This session is for the experiment component of fermented dairy products. We have already covered an introduction to fermented dairy products and also the indigenous fermented dairy products, that is dahi, lassi, mishti dahi. Its all principle and method of manufacture in detail. Today we will study the practical part or the experiment part, or primarily it is completing the production chart, or when you do the exercise in the classroom, what type of observations is to be kept in mind. So, those aspects will be taken one by one. Now, first see what is the objective. Objective is to outline the steps involved in manufacture of three indigenous fermented products: dahi, mishti dahi, lassi and chach. Then second is complete the observations in production chart of dahi, mishti dahi and lassi. We mentioned that the importance of fermented dairy products, the principle involved, we have already studied in detail. The method of manufacture of all these products also we have studied in detail, that the prime purpose is the fermented dairy products give you characteristics taste, the nutritive value is there, and the heart of this is starter culture, and then starter culture growing into required lactic acidity, which gives the characteristics taste and flavor to the product. Now, to recall what are the steps involved is primarily a generic steps for the fermented dairy products. We go for filtration, clarification, standardization of milk, homogenization, then heat treatment, that is pasteurization, to make it safe for the growth of good microorganisms, addition of starter culture, incubation and setting of curd and cooling. These are the steps involved in the process. Now, first we will take the manufacture of dahi. Like we receive the milk, preheat to 35 to 40 degrees centigrade, then we go for the filtration, clarification, that is all the dust and dirt particles could be removed. Then we go for standardization, whatever fat, SNF standardization as per the requirement, we can go for the standardization. Then we go for the preheating. This preheating is primarily homogenization is done, and homogenization is done at two stages. So, it is a preheating for the homogenization purpose, and double stage homogenization is done. Then we pasteurize it at high temperature 80 to 90 degrees centigrade for 15 to 30 minutes, then cool it to the incubation temperature, add the starter culture 1:1.5%, then we pack it, incubate at the incubation temperature 22 to 25 for 16 to 18 hours, and we get the dahi. That depends upon the type of culture. So, this is the process for dahi. Now, let us come to the classroom situation where the students will be doing practical, or where you are in industry, you have to manufacture. So, you will need the stainless steel kettle or small dekchi at the classroom. You will need the stirrer, plunger, thermometer, then cow or buffalo milk, incubator, lactic starter culture, and the fat and acidity testing equipment. These are the practical. Now, procedure we know, but we will repeat it. This is the procedure, that you take the good quality milk and determine its fat and SNF, and standardize the milk to the required fat and SNF level. Now, filter the milk through stainless steel bhagona or the gechi, and start heating the milk over the any burner or the continuous flame where stirring is there, and heat the milk up to 90 degrees centigrade and maintain it for about 10 minutes is there. Cool the milk up to 30 to 35 degrees centigrade, add the starter culture at the rate of 0.5 to 1% and mix thoroughly. Then you transfer the inoculated milk into the incubator at 30 degrees centigrade, keep it for 8 to 10 degrees centigrade, and the setting is normally occurs in about 6 to 10 hours, and keep it for longer duration, and for excess sourness if you need, but too much of excess sourness will give you the waste separation also. Then they transfer the curd into the refrigerator. Now see the observations, that was theoretical part we have done is also, but in this the observations are very important. Production chart we should know how to fill. Amount of milk taken is the first column, then the fat percentage of the milk, SNF percentage, fat standardized to what fat percentage, what SNF. Then mode of heat treatment is there. We have to write LTLT method or HTST method, whatever is there, like batch method or continuous method. So, temperature of final heating depending upon the method. When we say final 80 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. So, this is the temperature which is shown, which is to be recorded. Then temperature of cooled milk, which is how much at what temperature, that depends upon the culture to culture we cool it. Then type of starter culture we use, we have to specify amount of starter culture. Then we come to the incubation temperature and total incubation time. So, all these parameters will depend upon the culture, which culture we are using and what is the temperature. Then quality of curd, we have to also take the observations of the final product, that is the waste separation has taken place or not, what is the smell, what is the taste, what in body and texture, what color and titratable acidity and pH. Now, if you are in the industry, then also you take the sample and note down and complete the records, and if you are in the class, so then also there is a this type of production chart is there. So, you should know. So, these are the observations which we have to take in the final product. There should be no waste separation, the clean acidic sweet taste should come, smell should come, body and texture and color and pH is to be noted. Now, we come to the next experiment on preparation of Mishti Dahi. Now, as we studied, Mishti Dahi is a fermented dairy product which is having the basically sugar, light brown color is because of the sugar. It is having the firm body, smooth texture, sweet sour taste and pleasant aroma is there. And normally milk is heated to desired consistency, sugar is added and thereafter it is cooled and the starter culture is added to set the Mishti Dahi at proper temperature of the incubation. Now, we have studied this. Now, we will come to the flow diagram. Normally, we take the buffalo milk and we standardize it to 3.5% fat and 9% SNF. We preheat to 65 to 70 degrees centigrade basically for homogenization purpose. Then we concentrate to 1.444 and we add the sugar, approximately 14% sugar is added into this. Then heating at 85 degrees centigrade for 10 minutes, cool it to 40 degrees centigrade, incubate at this with LF culture and then at the rate of 1.5%, and this is done for 6 to 7% and then cool it and you get the storage at 4 degrees centigrade. This is the method for the Mishti Dahi is there. Now, let us see what are the requirements of the equipment like multipurpose vat, plate heat exchanger, homogenizer, incubation room, plunger, polystyrene cups and packaging machines is required. Then there are the like milk related milk and sugar, the starter culture, thermometer and then steam and chilled water, fat and acidity testing kit, then muslin cloth and refractometer for total solids. This is when you are working the plant is there. Now, the procedure is take good quality cow or buffalo milk and the selection basis should be on acidity and organoleptic test. Standardize is to 3.5% fat and 9% SNF. Now, then we have to specify as toned milk Mishti Dahi, because as we know the standards are more like milk. If we not specifying, then it has to be followed the buffalo milk standard. Now, filter the standardized milk through a muslin cloth and then preheat to the 75 to 80 degrees centigrade, either in plate heat exchanger or multipurpose vat is there. Now, this is homogenized. As we know, the milk should be homogenized, and before homogenization the temperature should be around 65 degrees centigrade, mainly to inactivate the lipase enzyme. Now, take this milk in heating kettle, add sugar at the rate of 12 to 13% and heat at 85 degrees centigrade with continuous stirring. The heating should be continued till the milk is concentrated up to 1.5 times, and normally it takes 40 minutes, and it also develops the caramelized flavor during the process. Then we cool the milk to the particularly temperature. Now, if we are using either 30 degrees centigrade or 40 degrees centigrade, depending upon the starter culture we are using, then when they add lecture culture LF40 at the rate of 1 to 1.5%, and then this cultured milk is filled into the polystyrene cups under aseptic conditions, and they are incubated at 30 degrees centigrade, and then we once about 6 to 7 hours it will develop the acidity, and finally store the product under refrigerated conditions below 5 degrees centigrade. So, this is the method of manufacture. Now, we will see the observations. Normally, in this also type of milk we have to take, like type of milk and the fat percentage, solid not fat, acidity and quantity. Now, standardization, whether it's we have how we in the final product, what is the desired fat percentage, then amount of skim milk, cream or skim milk powder added into the product is there. Then quantity of standardized milk we have to see how much we have taken, then fat of standardized milk we have to do, SN of standardized milk, this also we have to check. Then homogenization of the milk, that is what is the mode of preheating, temperature of preheating and pressure of homogenization. Then we come to the processing of milk, how much of sugar we have added, rate of sugar addition, amount of sugar added, then method of heating the mixture, temperature of heating and duration of heating, and then temperature of cooling also is to be taken into account. Then we come to the inoculation, that is we take the type of starter culture, acidity, general characteristics, amount of inoculum, temperature of milk at the time of inoculation, period of setting, how many hours we have set up is there. Now, just like same as dahi, here also we will do the particulars of Mishti dahi, amount obtained, outturn percentage, the chemical quality as acidity percentage, total solids, fat, sugar, then the organoleptic quality, flavor, body and texture, color and appearance. So, this is about the production chart of the Mishti dahi. Now, we come to the lassi. Now, the principle involved in preparation of lassi, if you recall, it is basically processing of milk into dahi using starter culture, and then breaking of curd by employing agitator or centrifugal pump to obtain uniform consistency, and then blending the sugar syrup with desired flavor, and the final product is in the form of beverage. Now, this is the principle. The requirements is same like stainless steel, multipurpose vat, stirrer, thermometer, incubator and starter culture. Besides this, we also need the sugar and flavor, packaging material, packaging system. These are the requirements for the. Now, procedure is we have to prepare the sugar syrup, we have to prepare the preparation of dahi and blend dahi and sugar properly. Observations which we have to take, it is the amount of milk taken, fat percentage, SNF percentage, milk standardized to whatever percentage, mode of heat treatment, temperature of final heating, then temperature of cooled milk, rate, rate of starter culture, amount of starter culture, incubation temperature, total incubation time, acidity of dahi and pH of dahi, then the total required time for getting a uniform product, then amount of sugar taken, heat treatment given to sugar syrup, that is the temperature time combination, amount of sugar should added and type of flavor. Then amount of flavor added, yield of lassi is also noted down. Organoleptic quality of lassi we judge by the flavor, consistency, color and appearance and sweetness. Now, the precautions which we should take always in the these type of products, we should always use the fresh and good quality milk. It should be free from antibiotics and other innovative substances, and stir the milk continuously after heating, and use the fresh and good quality product. This is applicable for all the products, for the cheese, for fermented dairy products and indigenous dairy products is also applicable. Maintain the aseptic condition during the processing, and use good quality sugar for preparation of syrup, and store the lassi at refrigeration temperature. Now, this is to revive you. The flow diagram for the Mishti Dahi is here. With the whole buffalo milk, we standardize it to 3.5%, then we do the preheating, homogenization, concentration to 1.1, 1.4, addition of sugar, and then we get the heating to 85 degrees centigrade for 30 minutes, cooling to 40 degrees centigrade, and we incubate at 40 degrees centigrade for 6 to 7 hours and storage at 4 degrees centigrade. Now, when we say the lassi, we have seen the production chart, but it is ready to serve fermented milk products. It is a soft drink, it is mild acidic in nature, and it can be used with the spices also is there, and it is basically shearing of the dahi, and it is mixed and it is pumped, cooled and packed after incubation stage. And it involves the protein network of the gel is broken and gel pieces are formed. Now, breakdown depends on the stirring temperature and intensity, and the stirring increases the texture. Characteristics we know it is white to creamy white, viscous liquid is there, and good quality lassi should have creamy consistency, smooth texture, glossy sheen and white color with yellow tinge should be there. The chemical composition of lassi will depend upon the type of lassi and the initial composition of milk, level of concentration of milk solids and the sugar level, right. These are the characteristics, and to review it, we take the milk standardized to 4%, pasteurize to 90 degrees centigrade for 10 to 15 minutes, homogenize it, then we do the culturing 1 to 1.5% lactic acid culture, then set it to 14 to 16 hours for 0.7 to 0.8% lactic acid, and in this also we break the curd, addition of sugar syrup at 12% is added, then we add the essence, then homogenize it, and then pack and storage it. Now, we will take the chaach making also. This is also one of the important products, that we take the homogenized toned milk, heat to 90 degrees centigrade, cool it to around 43 degrees centigrade, and incubate culture at the rate of 0.7%, and incubate at 43 degrees centigrade for 4 to 5 hours, and set to lactic acid 1% is there. Then we add 60% of pasteurized water, and then we add the ingredients, and like salt and other things are there, and then pack in pouch. So, this is in brief about the different products and their production chart. Now, we will take focus on the important components, that is the production chart, because the objective of this is that we should know about the production charts of different methods. It is basically for the dahi. So, we have to see the milk, the fat SNF, then what is the standardization, how much of fat and SNF is there, heat treatment we have to see, temperature of cooled milk, temperature of starter culture added, incubation temperature and time, then quality of the curd. This we have to note down, weight separation, smell, taste, body and texture, and these are the characteristics we have to fill. Titratable acidity and pH is there. Similarly, for the Mishti Dahi, you see the production chart. Its observations is basically type of milk, then we take the solid not fat and quantity, then standardization, what is the fat percentage, what is the amount of skim milk required. So, then fat of standardized milk, acid of standardized milk, then homogenization temperature, time, mode, these are to be also given. Then processing of milk, that is how much of the sugar is there, what is the level of sugar, amount of sugar, how it has been heated, then temperature of heating, duration of heating and temperature of cooling also is to be there. After this we have to incubate. So, the type of starter culture, acidity, the general characteristics we will try to complete it. That is general characteristics, amount of inoculum, temperature of the milk, where its inoculation is set up. So, this is the particulars of Mishti Dahi: amount, outturn, chemical quality, total solids, fat percentage, sugar, flavor, body and texture and appearance. These are the properties which we have to see. Similarly, for the lassi also we saw the production diagram also. The production chart is slightly different is there. Now, let us see the observations: amount of milk taken, fat percentage, acidity percentage, and then we come to the mode of heat treatment, temperature of final heating, then temperature of cooled milk, the type of starter, amount of starter culture, then these are the work in hand, that is amount of sugar taken, amount of heat treatment, how much is taken. So, we have to take amount of flavor added, yield of lassi, ultimate quality of lassi. So, this is the product and the precautions which we should take. The good quality product is essential and it should be free from antibiotics and other innovative substances, and only good quality milk should be taken. So, this is in brief about the production charts of the different products, particularly about the fermented dairy products and about the dahi, lassi and the Mishti Dahi. So, we should know that the production chart is to be properly filled and good quality products should be used for the milk. These are the characteristics of the charge also. And normally for preparation of charge, we take the homogenized toned milk, heat to 90 degrees centigrade for heat it for 10 minutes, cool it to 43 degrees centigrade, inoculate the culture and then the incubate for 4 to 5 hours and set to lactic acid is there till 1% acidity is there, and then we add 60% pasteurized water and then we have the mix is there, then we add the whatever the salt ingredients like salt and jeera is added and then it is properly packed and stored. So, thank you very much. Thank you.